stingrays. Just love the way the sand just drifts off on him because there's so much of it on him. He had a good hiding spot. We're sorry we woke him. This is the animal right here that Steve Irwin went to grab. The tail is not the stinger. That long tail you see, that's not the stinger. The stinger is at the base of the body, and it's about this long. And it sticks up like this. When it's under threat, it'll stick up, it's barbed. It'll stick up and go in whatever's attacking it. And Steve tried to ride it. Steve knew a lot. He was an amazing man and knew a lot about animals, crocodiles, different animals. But it was his first experience with stingray. And he didn't know where the stinger was. And it got him right in the heart. Yeah, we lost a really good guy. But his son, his daughter, and his wife, we just met them when we were in Australia. They are still running that zoo in person. And you can meet them. And they do the crocodile shows. More about the caimans. Seems to be that they're movie stars. There's so many of them. People take their little puppy dogs. Now all the bottoms of them look like this. They're all white. They have little tiny teeth, but mostly they're gums. When they eat something, they suck it in. So if you feed them something, like a piece of shrimp or squid or something, you put it in between your fingers, and you put it underneath the water, and the stingray will come up and suck it right out of your fingers. And it takes a few times for you to get comfortable with that because it wants to take your whole hand in. Now, if someone was to give this guy a name, yeah, looks like Casper, doesn't he? This is what Stingray City looks like, right here. And as busy as it looks, all these captains of these boats know exactly where to anchor, back up to each other, and put everybody in on the sandbar. This started years ago when the fishermen would come in, and before they got to the dock, they would stop here because it was a shallow area, and they'd throw a little anchor in so the boat wouldn't go anywhere, and they would clean their catch here. They would fillet their fish and throw the carcasses in the water. Well, things started coming to eat, and they found more stingrays coming than anything else. So they turned it into an experience. And I'm not sure, I looked, you kind of shuffle your feet around these guys. If you've ever been in the water around stingrays, you don't go through the water like this, because if you step on one, it can sting you so hard. You're thinking you got a kidney stone coming off of your foot. It hurts that bad. But everybody gets their time with the stingray. They're there about an hour and a half, and everybody gets as much time with the stingray as you want, even in a situation like this. The guides are really good at taking people that are afraid, never done it. Of course, you're leery of these big things. They're like big pancakes around. And they hit you in the back of the legs. You don't see it coming. They're just swimming all over the place. But it's safe. It's safe to do. I don't know of anybody getting stung. Different things you can do with them.
Oh, wow.
She's a bit nervous. Yeah, she is. And you can kiss them for luck, right? Like kissing the toe at Punta Arenas before you go to South Pole. Now let's travel across the ocean, across the water of Pompeii, where the ship goes, where Mount Vesuvius, when it erupted, of course, it destroyed Pompeii. The wind was blowing that direction, and the poisonous gas and all the ash covered Pompeii and killed everybody. Across the water was a town called Baia, and it was a warm mineral bath because the bubbles were coming up from that volcano, and they still are. Hot vents were coming up, so it was like a mini Las Vegas, don't ask, don't tell kind of place. Julius Caesar went there. He would often visit Baia. But what it did, it sank in the water. A lot of times in America, or different fault lines, the land goes like this when you have an earthquake. When there's an earthquake or something happen over there in the Mediterranean, things rise or sink. So this whole city sank in the water. And it ranges from 30 feet to, they haven't found the bottom of it yet. And we're talking buildings of marble, pillars, statues, all kinds of things. So I'm going to show you some things that I saw in the 50-foot range. This is the dive shop. Anybody can do this too. If you call them, get a hold of them online, you can do this. It's about 5 miles offshore. Now what we're doing here is uncovering different roads and different mosaics. There's some hot vents right there. See these mosaics? These are big. They're much larger than this room, and they may go for half a mile. Little tiny square cubed stones make these roads. The gladiator mosaic, you'll get a better shot of it. These are how little, they're the size of your thumb. Millions of them put together. When they're done showing you the mosaic, they cover it up in case somebody was to come in there and throw an anchor in. They want to buffer it a little bit, and they also want to hide it in case somebody wants to come and take it and then put it together at their house or something, bill for it. Now here's some pieces of marble that made a road. There's the gladiator mosaic right there. Two guys, see his hand on his arm and on his head. So we cover things back up, we go a little ways, we swim a little bit, and we run into these statues. The year Vesuvius erupted, like 03, 9, 79, the year 79, okay. So almost 1,000 years. Truly was a journey back in time for me. They're going deeper now. They're going 200 to 300 feet deep and still finding stuff. Because this dive shop is set up as a technical dive shop. Where they're headed a lot deeper and finding a lot of things that are still put together and still looking more and more like a city all the time. They've traced out the whole city. They have a big map of it. And they can take you to different parts of it depending on your skill level, your dive level. They'll take you this deep or this deep depending on what you want to see. Well, I thought that was a pretty incredible event, something that's happened. The ship went right over it. We had no clue. St. Kitts, we ran into this guy. Not very often do wild creatures, especially porpoise, come around and hang with you for a while. You can see he's pretty scarred up. Come to find out, there's a dolphin research center around the corner in St. Kitts, and he got too mean, and they kicked him out. They did. And all the scars he's got, he's been in a lot of tumbles. He's been in some bar fights, this boy. That's me here. He's coming up to me. He surprised me. I don't do porpoise very well. I'll do sharks, but I don't do porpoise very well. I just kept to myself. I don't know any porpoise signs, all the stuff that they do. He just wanted to play, but porpoise play a little rough. You can see how big he is, full grown. He doesn't like being touched from behind. This guy touches him back here. He didn't like that. Now this girl said she had seen him before. They recognized his. Watch how fast he is. His nose is so fast. He had to pull her away from him because he wanted to get her down on the ground, bury his nose in her. See how fast he is? I guess that's where I stopped it. Yeah, you're the one. He's looking guilty too. I didn't want to run over. I got to have somebody follow me. So, keep your head on your shoulders, right? This is my son, and we're in one of the islands down south, and these airplanes come right over your head.
St. Martin.
St. Martin? Some of you have been there. Yeah, if you had a football or a frisbee, pop, they're right there. That's the amazing part. But what I found amazing is when they take off, they are on the runway, and there's a fence right there, and a galvanized fence, and you're hanging onto this fence watching this airplane take off, and it revs its engines up, and you're hanging onto this fence, and you're hanging onto this fence, and when it goes, you can't hang onto the fence. Everybody ends up in the water. Everybody's hats flies off, purses, everything on the beach goes in the water. It does. It's hilarious. Down the hill in the water. And right here, like Mary says, just add water.
I was in search of the reading sea dragon. This being my first and possibly only time to visit.
I'm going to tee this up before I show it. I was in Australia over the holidays, Mary and I were, and I found out about these weedy sea dragons. On my business card is a picture of me in the water, and I have more cards if somebody wants to have one. And I'm filming a weedy sea dragon. It's actually a fish. They grow about this long. They have no natural enemies. They're hard to find. I hired a guide to show me what they look like. I was in Melbourne. The water was cold because I'm from Florida, and everybody had dry suits on except me. So Getting in the water was cold, but staying in the water for an hour was brutal because you're close to Antarctica. You're getting that water. These guys are something else. They have no digestive system, and they just cruise around. They got these little fins back here behind their ears. You'll see that. They have one dorsal fin back here, kind of keeps them straight. And they don't have a care in the world. And they swim around and they eat little zooplankton. The littlest things they eat because they can't digest anything. The female lays eggs up under the tail of the male. He has a brooding pouch, and over 100 eggs. And he's got to watch the eggs for about 3 or 4 months while they mature and then they hatch. And he can't clean that area, which it gets kind of mossy and grass grows on it and stuff like that. So he wants these eggs to hatch, I'm sure, so he can clean himself up. But you'll see this in this film. The weedy sea dragon. There's also a leafy sea dragon that's a little bit north, up near Perth, Australia, and Kangaroo Island, up around that area. And they're even more flamboyant. They've got leaves. They look like leaves attached to them. These are the weedy sea dragon.
I was in search of the weedy sea dragon, this being my first and possibly only time to visit southern Australia. By hired a guide from Aquability. A Miss Lovejoy showed up at my cruise ship, and after about a 20-minute drive, we arrived at Flinders Pier. The weedy sea dragon is a fish and only found in southern Australia. I was able to find them in Melbourne, where I was spending only 1 day. I wasn't sure whether we would find them, although she was quite confident. In retrospect, I don't think I would have recognized or been able to find them on my own, so I'm very fortunate to have trusted in myself to have hired a guide, otherwise I don't think I'd have found them. The water was cold, 60 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 degrees Celsius. Recognizing them wasn't easy. My guide knew where to look and how to look and what to look for. I followed her for the first 15 to 20 minutes, which we didn't find anything. But there he was. And I was diving a wetsuit, being a Florida diver. Everyone else was wrapped up in dry suits, so I was quite cold. But it turns out it was worth braving the cold to find out what these weedy sea dragons really look like. The weedy sea dragon lives only in southern Australia.
You can see
the
the
place
eggs.
in the world they live. So while I was down here, I was dead on finding them. They feed on tiny crustaceans and zooplankton and suck into their long tube-like snout. And they eat larval fishes and sea lice because they do not have digestive systems. They have no natural enemies. They live between 6 and 10 years. The eggs take approximately 2 months to hatch, and they are on their own at birth. Surprised by a stub-tailed stingray, we continue our search. Weedy sea dragons do not have a tail like normal seahorses to wrap around and hold on to things, so they flow with the tide. To stay upright, notice the dorsal fins on their backs and the pectoral fins behind their heads. The females lay the eggs, up to 120 eggs, in the male's brooding pouch under his tail, where the eggs take approximately 2 months to hatch. If I were to find these tiny little sea creatures at this point, it would have been worth the cold dive that lay behind me and the even colder exit from out under the pier. This was a great day of exploration.
They only live in southern Australia. That's the only place they live. I thought that was worth showing you guys.